Well, good evening. This is Gina Tadella, and tonight I'm going to show you how to make a waterfall card. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to give you the measurements, and this way you can create it with whatever stamp set you have. But tonight I'm using this stamp set, and I'm doing a swap with Denise Waddell, my upline, and it's called Wooded Acres. And it can be used year-round. It can be used for any type of card, even for Christmas. All you have to do is add a little bit of glitter. Yes, indeed. So, it's been a while since I've done a waterfall card. So, you are going to need a stamp, a trimmer. You are going to need a tabs punch or any other type of punch that can be big enough that can fold in half. And I'm using the colors tonight. I'm using Pool Party, Bermuda Bay, Pretty Peacock, and Early Espresso. So, hello Linda. Let me scroll down here so I can see who all. And hello B. Thank y'all for joining me live. So, I'm going to use those colors because we don't have to color the image in. We're just going to stamp it and then show it in 4 different color schemes. Okay. And let me move this color out of the way for the time being so I can go over the measurements. So, first off, you need a piece, and it can be any color, depending on what you're using for your designer series paper. I always like to say DSP, but designer series paper or background paper, whichever one you call it. So this is a piece of Early Espresso, but you don't have to use this color, but do use a dark colored base. This is 4 1/4 by 11, and we're going to be doing as a landscape card. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half. And if you have a bone folder, whoops, I ain't got that lined up. You want to press in the center, and then, I still don't have it lined up. There we go. I'm going to use my bone folder. If you don't have one, you don't have to worry about that. You can just use your hands. Okay. And then I usually just flip it over. And the darker the paper, the thicker it is. Okay, we're going to fold that in half. Then I brought in this designer paper. I used it last week in the thing, and I'm trying to think of the dang name of it. Not every day. I'm not sure. And I don't think I put it in the name either when I did the description, so I have to add that. But anyways, it has 2 sides. So we're going to use this side tonight. And then you need a piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then this is a piece of basic white for the inside of the card, since this is a dark card. This is 4 by 5 1/4. So that goes on the inside. And then your strip is a 2 1/2, and I'm using Pool Party, by 10 1/2. And it's been a while, so I went ahead and pre-scored it just to see if I knew how to remember how to do it. Because I think I have been a couple years since I've made a waterfall card. But I'll go over the measurements on you. But right now, this is 2 1/2 by 10 1/2. You need one of those. And then this is Pretty Peacock. This is 1 inch by, I wrote it down so, 4 inches. And this is a strip that's going to hold the waterfall piece base. And I'll show you how to do that. You do need to use tear tape. No dry adhesive is going to work as good as the tear tape, believe me. And you don't want to use wet glue. You'll understand why. Then you need 4 pieces, and I'm using the Pretty Peacock. These are 2 1/4 by 2 1/2. And then you need 4 of the basic white, 2 by 2 1/4. And what else did I write here? Oh, that was the other ones I already went through. Okay. So we're going to do our stamping first, and then I'll show you how to do the waterfall card. Let me move all this other stuff out of the way, and then how to score it. It's a lot of pieces. It takes more time to do the cutting than it does to make the card, believe it or not. And there are steps on preparing to do your waterfall card. So I have two different images. Let me show you that. That's this one here. Because when photopolymer, you don't have a label, and so it's a see-through stamp. So I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to use this one for the second one. So let's move that out of the way. I don't need that one yet. Okay. All right. So, of course, we're going to go with the lightest color first, and that way you don't have to clean off your stamp each time. Okay. And I know it's hard for y'all to see this on white on white. I'm trying to see if I got a piece of chipboard, and I do. Hallelujah. Sometimes it pays not to clean off your desk on the left-hand side. Okay, so there we go. This way y'all can see when I stamp it. And this hasn't been primed yet, so let's go ahead and prime it. That's the pool party. This is one of the old pads. I don't get rid of my pads. It's because they change the style. When they go bad, I do. And of course, I have this one mounted on the wrong dang block. You are going to need a eye block. So, actually, you know what? I should just go ahead and use this one first. This is the big trees. I'll just do that first. So you want to prime it. What I mean by that is whenever it hasn't been inked, you want to ink it up and then stamp again. And of course this is bigger than the piece of paper, but that's all right. So I'll just choose this one out. I want those big trees. And there's that one. Now we'll go to the next color. And this is Bermuda Bay. And now we don't have to prime it, remember, because we've already used an ink on it. This would be great to do it in a fall scene. Hello, Della. Thanks for joining in live tonight, my dear. She lives in Wenatchee, Washington. She used to live in Port Orchard a long time ago. I met her at convention in 2003. And there's that one. And now we're going to go to the pretty Peacock. And this is a new pad. So it opens just like that. And it's a foam base. So you don't want to press hard. The other two were cloth base. I need to go all the way across because I'm using the big image. And remember to always press in the center of the block. A lot of people forget about that when they're using photopolymer. And you do want to stamp on either a pad of paper or a piece of chipboard. And then last but not least, we're going to use the Early Espresso. And no, you don't have to clean it off in between. When you go from light to dark, you don't. Only when you go from dark to light, you do. Because otherwise you muddy your pads. You don't want to do that. But you can clean them off by a wet cloth. Preferably a, not a paper towel. You can just blot it with a baby wipe or a throwaway washcloth. And there is the Early Espresso. So let's start the process. Okay. So what we're going to do first, I'll flip this over. We're going to mount these to their inlays. And I'm going to use my, I know that one's almost empty, my multi-purpose Tombow glue. And it doesn't matter which one you mount first. It only matters when you go to place them on the waterfall. That does matter. And I usually do what you call a kiss technique. When I have a lot of glue on there, I just kiss them together and then pull them apart. And then we're going to center this to my best ability. There's one. Try not to get glue all over my fingers. And then there's the other one. And I'll kiss this one with the Early Espresso. And don't try to do the kissing technique with more than one set because it will dry quickly, believe me. And there's the pretty Peacock and the Early Espresso. Okay, so those are done. And I'll move this out of the way and close up my glue. All right. Now, when I showed this a long time ago, we used to use the eyelets. We don't have those no more. You could use brads, but I'm just going to show you with tear tape because you can do it that way too. We're going to go ahead and mount this beautiful DSP. And this DSP is in the online store. It came out in the month of April, and it's 4 sheets of 3 styles. I showed it last week when I did the 5 different scenes, and it's beautiful. It's very pretty paper, but it has 12 in a package. 6 different designs, and of course there's certain designs that we like best. So there's that. Now this piece here, which is the piece that we'll be pulling on, you want to use tear tape. Now, you can stamp, you can emboss this, but I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm just going to show y'all how easy it is to make a waterfall card. So you're going to take the tear tape and you're going to put a piece here. And a piece here. And when it says you can tear it, you can tear it. Just be sure to burnish it. Makes it easier to lift it up. And I'll move that tear tape back over there. Okay, this is our inside, and I never usually glue my inside in, but I'm just going to stick it inside the card. Okay, so we're done with that part. Now we're going to come to the mechanics. So, I've already done it once on this one, but I want to show. This is our scoring blade. The light color is always a scoring blade. You want the cutting blade away from you. On the 10.5 side, you want to start off. It locks itself in place. And I have to take my glasses off because I see better up close without that. And you're going to start off at 5 1/4. And if you're not sure, take Post-it notes and mark each spot. We're going to go 5 1/4. It's every 1/2 inch. If you have a score pal, you can use that too. And use the little markers. But I'm just thinking on the most part, everybody has to have a trimmer. Right? Score pal is something extra that you have to get down the road. It's not a necessity. And you're going to score that. Then you're going to slide it back to 4 3/4 and score that one. and slide it back to 4 1/4 and score that, and slide it back to 3 3/4. This is what makes it a waterfall. I think I got 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. That's it. Okay, got it. Move the cutter out of the way for the second strip. Now, here is where we put the tear tape. This is important. I gotta find my end here. So you want to make, you see my faux pas there? You could use wet glue. The only problem with wet glue here is it could seep over and it would mess up your mechanism. So keep that in mind, okay? I'm burnishing them as I put them on. Okay. I need to cut that off. I got paper stuck on there. Where's my scissors? All right. I didn't tear it off neat. Okay. Okay. There's that. Now, the other part you're probably saying, what do I do next? Well, this is the part that you pull. So you need to you flip it over and you put a piece of tear tape here. This is important. When I taught it the first time, people always put it on the same side of the waterfall. Well, that's not going to hold it in place. So, before you do that, this is important. We're going to line this up. Okay? Now, here's this. So, my suggestion is to pull this off. And let me get my paper snips. After you burnish it, I found this is so much easier. Or you can take your pick tool. Lift it up from the center. Don't try to lift it up on the sides. Okay? So we're going to mount this onto this piece. And we're going to mount it flush with the edge. Now you can do it with shorter pieces and have an edge showing if you want to. But I'm just trying to do it based on based on people trying to do this for the first time. Okay? Now we can pull these up. These come off real easy. And you flip this over. You want to bring this up to the top of the edge. But you want to center it. So I made it the same width as the DSP. And then you just burnish that and burnish that. And then this is what's going to make the mechanism. Okay? So we're going to pull this out first. Hopefully I didn't do that ass backwards. I think I did. Oh my goodness. Because no, that flips them. Okay. I'll know in a moment. Live on Facebook here. And I'm using the punch tab. And we're going to need 2 of these. One for the other card too. And that's with Early Espresso. So this is in the new book. The tab die is the one that retired. Okay. So you're going to put tear tape on this side and this side. Because it's going to be mounted on the back and front of the pool party strip. In other words, this ain't closing together. All right. Pull this off. We'll know in a moment if we have this right. So, okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring it all the way up. Okay. So, this doesn't want to go up underneath. But that's where it pulls. Okay. So, we'll know in a moment. Okay. So we're going to mount the brown one first. It's the bottom one. And you mount it right below the score line. Not on the score line. Right below it. That's very important. Wrong one. And you peel the next one. Right below the score line. I'm telling my own self that. Okay, let's see if Gina did this right. Let me move that piece of paper out of the way. I did. So, now the only trouble that I see right now is that the tab is catching up underneath. So you could mount this with dimensionals, or foam tape. Honey, I need you to go get me the dimensionals, please. I don't think I have foam tape here. So when I do this next one, because the good thing is I can peel that up. And then you can have a message on the inside here, up underneath. You can say happy birthday or thank you or whatever. And you could put a piece of DSP here, your scrap pieces. So he's going to get me some dimensionals. Let me see if I can get this lifted up without messing it up. This is what you don't want to do. It's going to tear it up. Because like I said, I use tear tape. I got that side done. I can just get the tear tape off. There we go. All right. That one's done. And I can see how far down I was. This one's not being too much of a pain, but I just don't want to tear the DSP. That's the problem. Just a touch, and I can use some wet glue to repair. I can repair that. Thank you, sweetheart. He's so good to me. Thank you, baby. He just brings me the whole package. He didn't know what I needed. So, that's what I'll do. I'm going to use the strip. You know when you get the mini dimensionals, how they have those outside edges? That will be perfect. So, I'm just going to flip this over. Give me a guide just so I know. Whoops, I got two packages there. So I know how big to make it. And then do the next one. So y'all saw me do a faux pas. But it's always good to show, because I'm not perfect. Even though I've been doing it for a long time. You can forget certain things. And I forgot about that being the tab, making it be raised up where it needed to be raised up. Because of the cardstock thickness. Now we're just going to peel this off. So dimensionals will hold it too. Just your regular dry adhesive. So now we're just going to line this back up. And I know where I was at. Use this as a guide. Remember we did it like this, all the way to the top, and then center it so that we're to the edge of the DSP. There's that side, and there's that side. Now it will work. See? And if you wanted to, you could attach ribbon there. Use a puncher, a hole punch, and put ribbon there. So there's that one. Now we'll go back and do another one. Thank you, V. Now we'll go do another one. All right. So I'm going to repeat the measurements just in case somebody decide to go grab some paper and start and do it with me. So first off, you need your card base. And it can be, where do I do my card base here? Oh, there it is. Okay, it can be 4 1/4 by 11 or 5 or 5.5 by 8.5. Either or. I just cut my paper that way because I wasn't sure which way I was going to do the card in the first place. So, Early Espresso 4 1/4 by 11 or 5.5 by 8.5. And you fold it in half, whichever one, and it can be any color. It coordinates with your designer paper or your specialty paper. And just show you, you can use your fingers. You don't have to have a bone folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and mount the, actually I'm going to go ahead and stamp. What did I do with that other one? Let me stamp the inside piece with the light color without re-inking it. And just put it in. Well, actually, I need to ink it and then stamp it off. I put something in here because the brown is too dark, but I want to just put it down here at the bottom. So that way when you put a verse on the inside. Okay? And I'll just put that with the card. Oh. Y'all know what I just did? Stamped it sideways. This is a vertical card. You're going to say, how come it's not reaching all the way across? Because I stamped it wrong. That's why. And I need to twist this off because I got to change the block. So when you take photopolymer off of a block, slowly remove it. Very important. You'll understand why on this next one. This one has a narrow piece. They will break. Okay? I'll mount this one on here. Okay. Make sure I ain't got no ink on my fingers. So there it is. So this one's going to go on the inside. And I usually don't glue it till after I put a saying on it. I think I'm going to send that one to Jonathan for his birthday. Yes, Jonathan will be 34 on Friday. Isn't that hard to believe, Della? Jonathan, 34. My oldest baby. Okay. So on this one, we'll go ahead and stamp it with the light color. Remember, I primed this earlier, and it was on the wrong block. So we don't have to stamp this one off. This is for the inside piece. Stamp it correctly, Gina. And I forgot, when you're using a cloth pad, if any of y'all still have the cloth pads, always gently twist it and then tap, tap, tap. The reason why is when it's a bold line or bold image, it doesn't absorb the ink as well if you don't do a twist and then a tap. So isn't that pretty? Yeah. Wooded forest. Reminds me of the Northwest. Okay. So I'll put that one to the side. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and mount this. Now, I'm thinking of using this side because you've already saw the other side on this one, especially because of the trees. So I'm going to go ahead and put my wet glue. This is 4 by 5 1/4. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, B. Appreciate that. I think down the way, I am planning to do what you call a virtual class online. Thinking I got some stuff getting it prepared. So, whether either you can get the supplies from me already pre-cut, or I can email you out a list of the supplies of your choice of colors, but you can pre-cut your stuff and then do that. So, just giving you a heads up. But I knocked down. Oh, Georgie, that's important. Don't want to knock that on the floor because I'll be looking for that. Okay, so there's that. So those two pieces. Now, let's do our stamping. Let's bring the chipboard back. So that way you can see what I'm doing. And give you a heads up, these are the basic white 2 by 2 1/4. I like to do even numbers. It's hard for people to do 2 1/8 or 2 1/16. I try to keep it as easy as possible because a lot of people have trouble with that. So we're going to go ahead and ink this back up with the Pool Party and stamp on the first one. And I'm going to do the one with the full trees. And since it's sparingly, this is one that you can do. Let me twist again. You can do 2 rows and fill it in where it looks like a scenery background. Okay? So that's what we're doing. That's the Pool Party. Now I can close this up. And if you were doing an envelope, you would go ahead and stamp the front of your envelope or the back of your flap. The next one is Bermuda Bay. This is a foam pad. So you don't want to press as hard. There's that one. And then there's the top part. I didn't get that step real good, but that's okay. Let me close this one up. What did I do with the other one? I don't know. Okay. Next one is Pretty Peacock. And it's easier. When it's a bigger stamp, it's easier just to bring the pad to the stamp. We're going to do the fuller one. Whoops, I can see. The good thing about photopolymer, you can see if you inked up the stamp or not. There we go. Do the fuller one first. Then hold that paper. That's all done. And then do the second level right above it. There's that. And last but not least is Early Espresso. Okay. I'm going to get some of that blue off. Okay. Full scene first. Hold that. That's right. Earlier I was re-inking this Early Espresso, and the Early Espresso won. Had a battle with it. I had it all over my hands. I got the majority of it off, but I'm telling you what. So there's that. And I'm going to twist this off. Move that out of the way. Okay. Now we're ready to glue these on. So let's bring in the Pretty Peacock paper. And the Pretty Peacock paper is 2 1/4 by 2 1/2. And then we'll go ahead and use our wet glue. And do that kissing technique with the wet glue, where you kiss two pieces of paper that are the same size. There's that. And there's that one. Okay. I noticed I wasn't all the way in the camera. I'm going to do with my other images. There we go. Can y'all believe we're at the end of April almost? This month just flew by. Oh my gosh. But I do like the later daylight. I can't lie to you there. And we've had some nice weather too for the month of April. It's usually April showers that bring May flowers. Okay, so those are the ones done. So I need to stack them up in the order they go on the waterfall and move those out of the way. Close up this glue and bring in the trimmer. And now we're going to score. Okay, so this is a 2 1/2 by 10 1/2 of Pool Party. Now, we're going to go ahead and line this up. Pull this out at 5 1/4. And you're going to score. I usually run it a couple of times. Yeah, the months are going by quick, Linda. And you're going to line it up at 4 3/4. Then 4 1/4. And as I said, use a Post-it note if you have a hard time knowing where to mark it, especially if you're planning to make several. And then 3 3/4. Or use your score pal if you have one. Okay, did I do enough? 1, 2, nope, I got one more. All right, that's what I get for talking. Okay, 5 1/4, 4 3/4, 4 1/4, 3 3/4. Because there's 1, 2, 3. I must not wrote down the last one. I think it's 3 1/4. So I apologize. Because I know there's 4. There's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4 slots, okay? So let me make a note of that. So when I write it on there. 3 1/4. Okie dokie. And here. I'm using my nails so that way it gives me a mark so I don't have this chair tape funky with funky edges. And I can burnish it at the same time. I have never tried it with more than 4 images. Some people have, but it's just too hard to get the measurements right. So Then we're going to flip this over, and you're going to put a piece here of tear tape. And burnish that. And then here's the piece. It's a 1 inch by 4 inch of pretty peacock. And then we're going to put it, nope, wasn't tear tape. It's dimensionals. That's why I didn't have it there. So let's get that sheet and cut. One here. One here. And turn it around. I think this one is probably going to have to be trimmed a little bit. I think it's a little too big. Oh, perfect. Okay. So, first things first. What do? We mount this piece here. Okay? So we take this off. You can pull it from the center. And then we're going to center it best as possible. Don't ever stress about having it exact, okay? Nobody's going to sit there and measure it. Believe me. Then we're going to go ahead and do our folds. Should always have 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't need this score line, but I do that score line so I know where to put the tear tape, okay? All right. So next is we're going to peel off the backing of the Stampin' Dimensionals. And you're going to line it up with the DSP. If you want to go up, you can do that. If you want to even it, you can even it like that. So I'll do one like that and one like the other one. And then press on those. And we're going to bring this forward. Remember our pull tab? Okay. We're going to add the tear tape to that. Now that you could put wet glue on, maybe I'll do that to show that, so to show variations there. Because this one you could. This is where we can just kiss it and then open it and then mount it on. There we go. And you close that. And then it gives you a little bit of wiggle room to get it situated. And then I rub it real good before I try to pull on it, because it may move on you. But there it is. Now it's going to be a... Why is it not... There we go. Get ready to say, why is it not going up under? All right, let's get our scissors and mount our images. You never want to mount your first one on the top. Why? Because you can't see it. Can't see the other ones to mount them. So it's always best to mount the... Okay, I saw somebody had wrote something else. It was Linda's message. Months go by fast. So we're going to go ahead and mount that one. So it's always the last one first. Okay, there's that. And it's always below the scored fold. Maybe if I brought it up, y'all can see that. You can see the fold right here. So it's right below it. There's that one. And then last but not least, let's pick it up from the center. go. And there it is. Oh, I do need to fold that other one. Okay. So you can actually have a fifth one here that's mounted here, and it could be with all the colors. You can just use a sponge dauber. So I may do that and then take a picture of it. I don't know what. There we go. Okay. So there's that, and then there's, let me show you the inside of the card with this piece mounted. I'll just put a little bit of, just a small speck of glue. Then I can take it up when I stamp a saying on it, just in case I mess up. Okay, so this way y'all can see the done inside as well. Excuse me, it's just missing the verse, but I never put the verse on there. So there's that one. Let me flip this nasty piece of sheet over. Actually, move it out of the way. And bring in the other card. So this is where you can put your actual verse here, your sentiment of whatever you want to say. So you would definitely want to stamp that first, and I would put it on a piece of white to sit on top of there, or another contrasting color. I would have done, probably brought in the wild wheat, but the wild wheat's retiring and you can't get that paper anymore. So I just didn't want to show something that nobody could get. So I'm going to separate those two cards there. But I hope you've enjoyed this and just see how easy it is to recreate a waterfall card. So when you get a chance and you have time, I'll leave the post up for a week. Try to make one and then share a picture of what you created as a waterfall card. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for joining in while I'm live. And thank you for those who'll be watching my replay. Have a wonderful week, and I'll be back here next Monday at 7 p.m. showing you something fun, something new. Bye-bye.